We're back again with another Ask the Locals series, and today I'm actually asking a controversial question that a lot of people love to jump in and answer. Today we're actually going to be talking about what's the worst thing, the worst part about living in Las Vegas as a local. Big Rico LV17 says traffic on the 515 freeway. Now let me talk about traffic in Las Vegas for a minute, because if you're coming from a place like San Francisco, New York, or really California, where traffic is a very well-known thing that the entire nation cringes of when they think about it, that is not what you're gonna experience in Las Vegas. If you were watching my videos 2 years ago and I was talking about how everything is breezy and there's no traffic in Vegas, well, times have definitely changed, but we are nowhere near what New York feels like or California feels like, so don't be stressed. We do have a little bit of thicker traffic these days after COVID, after the pandemic, and with all the new people moving here, we're definitely figuring it out. But good news for you, Las Vegas built this city knowing she was gonna be the most popular city in the whole wide world at one point in time. They built this place expecting millions to live here. So don't stress, don't worry. Traffic's still pretty light, and I think you'll still be okay if you become a Las Vegas local. Tauntaun Sells Vegas says the construction here, which is everywhere. Let's talk about that for a second. Growing up in Las Vegas, we had a joke that we would say in school that the state bird was the crane, the construction crane, and the state flower was the construction cone, because they were basically more present than any of our actual state birds and state flowers. And it is a joke, it's very tongue-in-cheek, but it's pretty freaking true. Vegas is a growing city, and it's been growing like this for many, many years. So it's no wonder that there's always construction happening. It can get a little worrisome and be annoying. And here's the thing, all you have to do is stay aware of what's going on so you can plan your routes accordingly. Luckily, we're set up on a grid system, so it's not like you only have one road in and one road out to where you're trying to be. So don't get stressed on the construction, but yes, Tauntaun Sells Vegas, I agree. Construction is pretty legit and it is kind of crappy sometimes. The next item on my list is something that a lot of people have said to me, and I guess I can start to tend to agree, and we'll talk about it in a second, but AMB Wizzle and Meg MCS both said the crazy drivers. Let me just express to you how much that means to me. It says a lot, and here's why. Yes, we have crazy drivers here, but are we crazy drivers and are they crazy drivers, or are we all just taught to drive differently because we were raised in different areas of the world and the country? That's really the reality here. We are a melting pot. Las Vegas is a huge melting pot with diversity like no other. That's actually one of our core values as a city. That's UNLV's core value, diversity, diversity, diversity. So with that diverse population and people moving here from all over the country and all over the world, you're gonna run into situations where someone who grew up living in California versus someone who grew up living in Kansas are learning to drive on the same road together and be at pace with one another. So maybe it's not that they're crazy drivers, but it's more so that we are figuring out how to marry and layer our crazy ways of driving together. R.A. Sawyer, hey R.A. Sawyer, nice to see you. He says, hard to meet people, which you warned me about in your videos, and it is completely true. Listen, I've been saying it since I started this channel, and I will continue to say it till the day I die, because it is just the reality of what it's like living in Vegas, at least for today. When you move to a city like Las Vegas that's known for being transient, and also a city that offers so much entertainment where a large subset of our population works really weird ass hours, you're not gonna have an experience like you would in I don't know, Kentucky or even another state that doesn't offer a 24-hour city. Having a 24-hour city does not make it easy to walk next door to borrow sugar from someone who might be sleeping for his graveyard shift that he worked last night at the Encore, right? So you have to keep in mind that when you move to Las Vegas, it's really gonna be up to you to build your community. What does that mean? Well, if you work with my team when it comes time to buying your houses, you will know that we do actually monthly and quarterly events to help you network with other new members of the community and really help you get out and learn about all the cool things that the city has to offer. So that's one thing. But then you have to really lean into, what do you like? What churches do you want to go to? Where do you live? What are the things that you're into? I guarantee you Las Vegas has a networking group, probably a cool after-hours group, and probably a church that's dedicated to anything and everything that you just mentioned. So just be aware of that when you're moving to Las Vegas. You really do have to build your own community. You have to make it a concerted effort. You cannot rely on just knocking on a neighbor's door or bumping into somebody at a coffee shop, because that's not how the city is run. Everyone's got their heads down, they're working, they're hustling, they're grinding, they're trying to squeeze what they can out of the city. So it's up to you to squeeze your new community out of the city once you get here. This next one was a really big one this year, and I'm gonna add my name to the list. Okay, we got 3 or 4 people that all responded with the same response. Jocelyn Roach, Cashman 0805, Tauntaun Sells Homes, and me, Las Vegas Gal. The wind, especially this year. I don't know what's going on with Mother Nature. She's back on the sauce. Someone needs to put her in a program. I don't know what's happening, but the wind and the dust storms that we have experienced in Las Vegas this year are like nothing I've ever seen before. There's been points where we're walking around, driving around, and you cannot see 5 feet in front of your hand. So I don't know what's going on with the wind. I don't know if it's here to stay or if it's just a weird off thing this year, but yeah, Mother Nature needs to get off the sauce and get back on her stick and get rid of this wind. Next item on my list came from one response. KZ App says, Californians, to be honest. Listen, I don't know if you know this, but moving to Las Vegas, we have at least 78 to 80% of the people moving here are from California, Northern and Southern California, throughout the entire state. We know why. The taxes are a little bit better here. Property taxes are also a little bit better. There's a whole plethora of why you would want to move here, less traffic, all those things. But the reality is I don't know that it's Californians that might be the problem. And I don't want to tell you how to feel. Who was it that said this KZ app? I don't want to tell you how to feel, but I just want you to have an open mind. We are very diverse. Las Vegas is a very diverse culture, and so is California. So keep that in mind when you're moving here so you can kind of prep yourself. And let's be nice to Californians. They are basically 80% of your neighbors. Next on the list was a popular one as well. Leslie KNV says summer is her biggest problem and the worst part of living here. I've had this question come up a few times before and I've gotten many of the same responses. Listen, the reality is we live in the desert, the Mojave Desert, okay? You're gonna see temperatures up to 120 degrees in the summertime, and that's okay. The good news for you is every building in Las Vegas has air conditioning, and so do the cars. And so when you're gonna move here, either plan to, if you don't like the heat, plan to be here only in the not so hot summer month, or not so hot months so that you can stay away during the summer months, or learn to plan your grocery routes and your errands and things like that around the craziest, hottest parts of the day. But yeah, baby, when you live in the desert, the summer is probably gonna be one of the worst things that you have to deal with. But it's a dry heat, right? This next one on the list is actually something that we hear a lot, especially as we're selling homes to people who have never really lived on the West Coast. So Seymour_is says small yards, minimal greenery, and that the homes don't have as much character as they do on the East Coast. Unless you're buying a vintage home, yeah. Here's the reality. Vegas is a very fast growing city. And early on, when they were building out the city, they definitely built these homes and built the lots and gave you a lot more for your money. But as the cities continued to grow and the city planners realized that we don't have much more to work with as we get further out, there's gonna be a limit to how far they're gonna let us build into the desert, as most of that land is owned by the government, right? So as they're cutting up these pieces of land and they're selling them to the builders are trying to maximize their dollar. What does maximizing their dollar look like? They're gonna take a square, and instead of giving 4 people a home, they're gonna maybe give 16 of people a home. So that's something you definitely wanna keep in mind. If you are looking for a larger lot, larger yard, larger lot set up for your home, no stress. It is available. It is a possible thing. It just really depends on the area of town, really how old your home is, and really what your budget's gonna look like. So don't get too discouraged by hearing that, but yes. Now, in terms of the greenery comment, we have a lot of greenery here in Las Vegas, but we are the desert. So we do a lot of like desert landscaping setups, a lot of cactuses, things like that. So if you love grass, you're definitely okay to put grass in, and there are park and golf courses and opportunities for you to experience it, but it's just probably not gonna feel like where you might have come from if you're especially coming from the Midwest or the East Coast. When it comes to character of homes, the character of the homes, yeah, listen, we are a large community of subdivided homes, master plan communities, right? The city has had many builders come in and they've done stamp and repeat experiences throughout the city because they know what sells, they know what people are looking for, and they know that they like it. The problem with that though becomes that a lot of the homes do have a tendency to start looking like each other. If you're looking for a home with a little bit more character, leaning more into the vintage homes downtown or some of the homes that are in like the northwest part of town is gonna be your best bet. The last one on my list is a big one, and it's something that I've mentioned a few times in the 21 things you need to know about moving to Las Vegas. Trace Askew and 822 Dave said car insurance prices. It's something that you're gonna need to be prepared for, and you should definitely do your research on before you come to Vegas, but yes, insurance for your car is going to be sometimes triple what you're currently paying right now. Now, let's weigh that against the property taxes that you're possibly paying right now that are probably much higher than what we charge here, and also the state income tax. Those are two things that are huge benefits to people who live in Las Vegas. So don't let that outweigh your decision as to whether or not you move here, but just definitely do your research. It's gonna depend on the type of car you have, how many drivers, accidents, all that, but also where you live in the valley. As you're doing your research, definitely also look at parts of the valley that might be a little bit cheaper, and we can make sure that we focus your house sale to those areas only to save you that money. As always, I love reaching into my audience, so if you're not following me on Instagram, please make sure you do that immediately. Follow me, let's say hi, let me know who you are and where you came from and that you saw this video. I do these polls probably once a week. I love getting feedback from everybody on the channel and just hearing what people are feeling about moving to Vegas and becoming a new local. My goal in life is to help you learn how to live your best Las Vegas life. So if you're thinking about moving here, or you already live here and you're thinking about buying a home, or you just wanna know more about how you can maximize your experience, I wanna freaking know about it. So go to the description below. You can text me, you can email me, you can click a link, we can schedule a meeting, do what you need to do, get in touch with me, and otherwise I will see you next time.